Hello everybody and welcome to another Blender tutorial, and this time we will try to create this dancing man, this effect on him as he would dance behind some board made from the pins, like the imprinted boards like you had. You can push your hand or face or whatever shape through the board and it will recreate the shape on the other side. So this is the idea. If you will go to the description of this video, you should find a link to a startup file where you can find this robot character, this just the mannequin, and simple animation. It's a motion capture from mixamo.com, link also in the description. And this will be our starting point for several future tutorials. For if you are familiar with the Blendance series, you know what you can expect. So we will use this file for recreating the effect itself. Okay, what we want to actually achieve is those little pins. There will be just simple cubes, but they have to be placed on him and also on some plane behind. And you can see the plane is not just static, some face. It has the wave modifier, so it's like not water, but it's more interesting, and also it kind of reacts to the motion of the dancer itself with little wrinkles or smaller waves. Okay, let's do that. So first we need the plane itself, mesh plane, and everything we will do in not edit mode. We actually need to rotate it as object around the x-axis by 90 degrees, because the wave modifier that we will use here, wave, can act only on x and y axis, and it's local to coordinates of the object. So if you would rotate the plane in the edit mode, the rotation of the object will be 0, 0, 0, and the waves will be only on the z axis. So they wouldn't be visible. Okay, but the wave modifier, as it is, if we play the animation, it doesn't really work as we want. First of all, we need much bigger plane, so let's scale it, for example, twice. Let's see how it's big. Move it up 1 meter and scale it on x-axis twice again. Okay, and let's round it a little bit. So just put here some division with loop cut and slide, Ctrl R. Select these edges and move them on the y-axis by, for example, -1 meter. Okay, and here this edge, Ctrl B, bevel it like this. Should be pretty good. I am trying to achieve as even geometry as possible, so let's use the Ctrl R, the loop cut and slide again, to achieve the almost square shapes on the polygons, and move everything a little bit back. Let's see the animation. So he will collide, intersect with the plane, but it will be recognizable that he is actually dancing. This is not that bad, so I will keep it there. And when I turn back to the object mode, you can see the wave modifier works pretty much as expected, but it doesn't have nearly enough geometry to modify. So collapse this modifier and add something like subdivision surface, or maybe a remesh, or multi-resolution, just something that will give us more geometry, and give us more geometry before we wave the object. So move the subdivision surface above, and let's put there really more, like 4 steps. Okay, it starts to working right now, but we definitely need to change some parameters here. First of all, we want loop this animation. So before we will continue, for the interaction of this denser with the plane, we need to start somewhere where it already interacts. So we won't be using frames from 1 to 75, but frames from 76 to 150. So another loop. We need to create this another loop in the animation itself. It's in the second layer, it's the armature that runs everything. And if we split this view and go to the NLA editor, so nonlinear action editor, you can see there is only one action, dancing, and this track is 75 frames long. And we need to replicate it several times. We just need one time more. We can just duplicate this, but it's not really a good thing to do. Much better is to go to this panel and find here repeat. You can set to repeat 2, and we have the 2 animations after each other, so it ends on the frame 150. Okay, let's move this end to 150, and now we have 2 loops of the same animation. Okay, that's good. Well, back to the wave modifier. Also, we want the wave modifier start much before we actually start recording the animation. So set the offset to some negative big value, like -160. Why not? So it's already running when we are watching the simulation. Some fall off, like 5 meters, so the waves aren't that visible on the edges. What the speed, definitely decrease it a lot, like 0.04. Well, it's probably too much. Let me see what it should be. 0.04. Well, probably it's right as it should be, but it doesn't seem right right now. Let's try to shift the width to half, 0.75, and height a little bit lower, 0.24, 0.25. And this crease is because the narrowness is not exactly as it should be. Let's try 2 meters or even more. Maybe 2.5. Well, this could work. So why not? Let's smooth this again with another subsurf modifier after the waves, so these creases are not that visible. There should be 1 step enough. Okay, so this is working. That's good. Now we need the interaction of the denser with the plane itself. I will stop the animation, select the denser, and you can see that the denser is from 2 objects actually. One is alpha surface and one is alpha joints. And for the purpose of this effect or this tutorial, we need to have just one object. So select the alpha joints, with shift select the alpha surface and Ctrl J. It will merge them to just one mesh. You don't see anything right here, but it's one mesh right now. Okay, so we can use this mesh as a brush for dynamic paint on this plane that will be canvas for us. Okay, let's go here to the physics settings, dynamic paint, and this denser will be brush, so add brush. The default settings is good enough, and here select the plane, again dynamic paint, canvas, add canvas, and just change the surface type from paint to waves, and it should be pretty much set. The default values are good enough, I believe. So just bake it somewhere so we don't have to generate it on the fly always. So name the cache somehow, like I can spell 02. I don't know if I have from previous files somewhere the waves, and bake all dynamics. This shouldn't take too long. It's not that heavy for the computer, and it looks like it will be done pretty quickly. Okay, so now if we play the animation, you can see that the denser actually affects the canvas. And as you can see, when the wrinkle or the small wave comes to the edge, it's reflected and go back, and I don't want that behavior. So I will go back, free this bake, and check the open borders. I forget to make this, and bake all dynamics again, and wait again. Why it's not happening? Yes, everything works. Okay, where we are, 12 minutes, it's pretty good. We should end up pretty quickly. Okay, let's see the animation. Everything works, but as you can see, everything starts at frame 1. So we actually need the second loop, so everything is already in the place. You can see when it's on the last frame, 150, it should be same as the first frame of our animation, but the first frame of our animation is clear. So we need to set the start to 76, because that's where the second loop starts. So now it should continue pretty much flawlessly. I will set this to frame dropping, so we will see it kind of in real time. Well, I think it works. The small discrepancies won't be visible on the final product. Okay, and what we need is duplicate of this plane. So duplicate it, move it on the y-axis, get rid of all these modifiers. We need just the plane, and we will shrink wrap it on our alpha surface, so on our denser and the plane itself. So we get the geometry that will combine these two geometries. But for now, for some reason, the modifier shrink wrap doesn't really work on two objects at once. It should, but it doesn't. I don't know why. Maybe if you look at this in the future and you have a newer version of Blender, everything works fine and you can use several objects as a target for shrink wrap. I can't do it right now, so I have to merge this background plane. I will name it as the back plane with the alpha surface, with the denser. But there is a problem. I need to still run all these modifiers, the waves and dynamic paint, on the plane itself, and it has to be rotated as it is. So it has to be the 90 degrees on x-axis. But the alpha surface, this denser, has zeroed rotation. So if I combine these two objects together, one of these things will not work. Either the animation will not work or the modifiers here will not work. So I will need actually another plane that I will merge with the denser itself. So let's copy this again. It starts to get a little heavy on computer. This will be like middle plane. And this middle plane will not have the dynamic paint, so get rid of it. Will not have the wave modifier, and will have these two subsurf. We can just do it like this, 5 to 5, and apply. And now I can, well, yes, I can merge it with the alpha surface. I will just move it a little bit in front so you see what's happening. I have this new plane, just a bit smaller in the edit mode, so it will not shrink wrap somewhere in the infinity. And select the middle plane, with Shift select the alpha surface and Ctrl J to merge those things together. Okay, you can see that it's inherit the material, and now we want just this plane to shrink wrap on the back plane. Okay, how we can do it? First of all, we no longer need this dynamic paint brush on the denser because we baked the wrinkles. So get rid of this and add a shrink wrap modifier. Here it is, shrink wrap. The mode will be just project on Y, negative Y, I believe, and the target will be the back plane. So not the Z. So okay, Z, negative Z, and as you can see, it shrink wraps everything on that plane, and we don't want to shrink wrap the denser itself, just the plane. So go to edit mode, select just the plane, so some vertex on this plane, Ctrl L to select everything connected, and make vertex group for it. There is a bunch of vertex group for the animation purposes, for the armature. We just add a new one, name it somehow, like waves, assign, go back to object mode, and in the modifiers we can select this vertex group here in the shrink wrap. So what was it? Waves. And now you can see it shrink wraps only the plane, not our denser, and it's all just one object. So we can hide the back plane, and we really don't want to render it either. So now all we done is just make this one object, so it's one geometry, and we will again shrink wrap this on the denser and the background plane. So we need as much even geometry as possible. So SY0, and this is not exactly squares, so let's get rid of this. Select with Alt, select this edge loop X, and where it is, edge loops, select this, Shift R to replicate the same command again and add them. New. So now the spacing is correct. And dynamic paint, we definitely don't need dynamic paint here. We definitely need it smaller, so it's projected on the plane as it should be. So let's shrink it down. Okay. Back to the solid. So we see what we are doing. Modifier. Again, we will need much more geometry. So where it is, subdivision surface. Now just simple, not Catmull Clark, because we need these squares to be on the grid, not deformed somehow. So just simple subdivisions, and 5 or 6, I believe 6 is the right number. So they are small enough. And shrink wrap it, shrink wrap, project, Z, target alpha surface, Y, negative. So Z, negative Z it is. Somehow we will have to try several options. Okay, so it's shrink wrapped. We don't need the alpha surface visible or in the renderer. This is what will run the pins. So we have all the geometry we need, and this plane won't be visible in the render either, but we will not turn it off right here. It will be turned off automatically after we create just one pin with cube, shrink it down, like really down, so it takes just this little square, make it really long, so it never is moved above this surface wholly, like this long. Why not? This should be in the same location, and this location is 0, 0, 0. So here we just can go Ctrl A and apply location. So it's 0, 0, 0, 2. And select the cube, or we can name it pin, and shift select this plane. That's actually the geometry. And Ctrl P, set parent to object. So now the pin is child of this plane. And when we select the plane and go to the duplication options here in the object settings and set the duplications to verts, that means that the pin is duplicated to each vertex of this plane. And also it will make sure that the plane won't be on the render. Okay, so now you can see we are pretty much done. Just hide the bottom with some ground. Let's see some frame where there are feet, and move the ground just where it should be, like here or here. Here will be probably better for the animation where we are. Okay, let's see everything is moving. Save it before. I'm pretty sure this is really heavy for the computer right now, but somehow it's still working. Okay, so just the render part, add camera to the scene, move it somewhere where you want your render. With Shift F you can move it as in the first person shooter somehow. Move the camera like there, should be enough. And let's jump to the node editor. Let's see if we can create something a little bit interesting. Okay, first of all, the world. World, as always in my tutorials, the simplest possible. Just put some environment texture to the background. HDR. Where am I? HDR, environment. Something. Why not? For example, what should we go to? Like these mountains, an image. Well, it takes a while. Here, the same trick as always. Converter, math, multiply twice. This will make sure the shadows will be sharp, so it's more recognizable what's actually happening on the 3D objects. Okay, now we need to lower our exposition. Everything is too wide, so film exposure like 0.24 would be good enough. Let's try to rotate this map so you will see some shadows. No. Let's try the other side. yes, this starts to look like something, but it's still very overexposed. Here non-color data, of course. Exposure 0.16. Well, that's enough. The ground material, something really simple for this plane. New material, the dielectric. If you are starting with this file, you should have it there. Just make it dark and just a little rough. Reflectivity can be 1, why not? And the pins itself, here pin. First of all, these sharp corners aren't really visible on the renderer, so let's add modifier bevel, something really small, like 0.01. Let's see what it does. It's still too much, so 0.003. Well, it could be good enough. And the material, something, you can try something reflective, I believe, and with the previous video I just add the anisotropic shader here and let this render. Of course, get rid of some of the light paths, just direct light should be enough and should be much faster. And you can experiment with the position of the paints. I didn't do it with this video, but for these purposes we have like 3 minutes till it's half an hour. So let's try something different. For example, go to the input object info and try to separate the location and converter separate X, Y, and Z and get what location? The Y. I believe it's the Y. But they are all in the negative Y space. So converter math and multiply it by -1. Well, and now you can see when the pin is in front, it's lighter than the pin that is behind. So we can multiply it with some another value. Put some color ramp there. Move to black. And let's see, adding some color here. So some of them are still white, some of them red, and let's add, for example, blue right here. So it will go from black through blue to red as it will move. You can see in different frames it will change the color, and it can be nice result, just not with the emission shader. Let's try maybe the anisotropic shader. Let's see what it will do. It could be nice. So let's try to render this. Shouldn't be too bad. Just activate the motion blur, renderer. Okay, and I am pretty happy with the result. So let's wrap it up. I thank you for watching. I hope you found it somehow interesting or useful. And till the next time, bye.